So, what if I told you that the biggest threat to your company's security isn't some super sophisticated hacker in a dark room, but something much, much closer to home? Today, we are going way beyond firewalls and talking about the human side of cybersecurity, and more importantly, how to turn your team from a potential weak spot into your absolute strongest defense. Let's dive in. First up, I want you to just look at this number for a second. $10.5 trillion. dollars. I mean, it's a number so big, it's almost hard to wrap your head around, isn't it? So, what is that? Well, according to the experts over at Hook Security, that's the projected global cost of cybercrime by 2025. When you're staring down a thread that massive, you have to ask the question, what is our most critical line of defense? And here's a spoiler, the answer isn't just buying another piece of software. If we really want to win this fight, we need a two-pronged attack. We need smarter training that actually sticks, and we need stronger safeguards built into our systems. The goal here is to turn every single employee from a potential risk into a genuine security asset. This brings us to a really powerful concept, the idea of the human firewall. Think about it. The most expensive ironclad software in the world is totally useless if an employee just carelessly clicks a bad link. Your people are your first and often your very last line of defense against threats like malware and ransomware. So, what does this human firewall actually do? Well, it's all about vigilance. It's about not clicking on those suspicious links. You know the ones. It's about questioning those weird, unexpected attachments. It's about spotting the signs of phishing or social engineering, where attackers try to trick you. And maybe most importantly, it's about reporting these things so they can be stopped in their tracks. Notice a pattern here? These are all behaviors, not just stuff you memorize for a test. Okay, but if empowering employees is so crucial, why do we still hear about so many security breaches, starting with a simple human mistake? Well, a lot of the time it comes down to how we train people. Let's dig into why the old school approach just doesn't work. This quote from our source material just absolutely hits the nail on the head. Traditional security training, it's boring. It's usually just a quiz you have to pass. So, what do people do? They cram, they pass the test, and then a week later, poof, the actual concepts are gone. It's just a checkbox exercise, not a skill building one. And this chart, wow, it perfectly illustrates the result of that old method. Knowledge retention, super low. Engagement, even lower. But the worst part, the most dangerous part, is that huge slice of the pie right there, a false sense of security. The company thinks its people are trained and ready, but in reality, they haven't actually developed the skills to use that knowledge when a real threat hits their inbox. So, what's the alternative? We have to switch from just preaching about security to actually practicing it. This is where we can make a real tangible difference in how safe an organization is. Okay, let's put it side by side. On the left, you've got the old way, quiz based training that focuses on memorization and leads to forgotten ideas. But on the right, you have scenario based training. This is where employees get to practice identifying fake phishing emails, or they navigate simulated social engineering scams. It's active, it's engaging, and most importantly, it builds real lasting skills. It creates genuine capability. But look, even the best trained person in the world isn't foolproof. People are human. We're all going to make mistakes. And that's where the second part of this strategy comes into play, building a stronger foundation. This starts with a core security concept called the principle of least privilege. The concept is actually beautifully simple. All it means is that any user on your network should only have the absolute bare minimum level of access or permissions that they need to do their job. Nothing more, nothing less. And here's why that's a game changer. It drastically reduces the blast radius of a human error. So if an employee's account gets hacked, or if they just accidentally click the wrong thing, the damage is contained because they simply can't get into files or systems they don't absolutely need for their day to day work. This table makes it super clear. I mean, think about it. Your sales associate definitely needs access to the company's CRM, right? But they have zero business being in the HR payroll system. Your HR coordinator needs to see employee records, but they shouldn't be able to get onto the product development server. It sounds like common sense, and it is, but actually putting this into practice system wide is a massive leap forward for security. Now, let's take these principles and apply them to the reality of the modern workforce, where you've got high turnover and this huge shift to remote work. This is where it gets even more critical. When your employees are working from their home office or a coffee shop, they're outside the protective bubble of the corporate network. They might be on unsecured Wi Fi or using a laptop with outdated software. This makes that human firewall we talked about even more important. And robust access controls, like the principle of least privilege, become an absolute must have for survival. It's the safety net for when a mistake inevitably happens outside the office walls. So, what are the key takeaways for every single employee out there? Well, the folks at ArcServe lay out some simple but incredibly powerful habits. First, back up your data. Seriously, keep your software updated, all of it. Be extra vigilant with emails and attachments. And finally, just practice safe web surfing. These basic steps of what we call cyber hygiene make a world of difference. And that really brings us to our final thought. As you think about your own organization's security, ask yourself this one question. Are you just focused on building a taller technological wall? Or are you investing in a smarter strategy, one that builds stronger system safeguards and stronger, more capable people? Because in the end, that's the only combination that's truly going to work.